Hi students, this is S. Srinivas, lecturer in physics, Vignan Junior College, Vadlamudi. Students, welcome back to the digital videos. Already we completed moving charges and magnetism and matter chapters in digital video belongs to magnetism. Now, from today onwards, we are going to talk about another chapter belongs to magnetism, that is electromagnetic induction. We continue the discussion of magnetism phenomena in another chapter known as electromagnetic induction. So this is our present chapter. In this video, we introduce the new lesson, that is electromagnetic induction. Students, in moving charges and magnetism, we studied about if current is passing through a wire, current passes through a wire, it produces magnetic field around it. A current passes through a wire, produces magnetic field around it. Is converse true? The question is, I am posing a question for you, is converse true? Converse means a change in magnetic flux. See this line. A change in magnetic flux produces electric current. A change in magnetic flux through any loop produces electric current. The resound for this question is S. The change in magnetic flux produces electric current. Throughout this chapter, we discuss experiments, followed by we talk the statements, and we derive the equations, and we state laws, and we apply the equations belongs to answer of this question. Change in magnetic flux through a closed loop produces electric current. So the support of this question, answer for this question is as the theme of this chapter. Throughout this chapter, each and every day, each and every video, we support and we discuss the experiments and laws, derivations belongs to yes answer of this question. That is, change in magnetic flux produces electric current. In olden days, long ago, people know that the electricity and magnetism were irrelevant topics. In long back ago, that is before 18th century, the people understood or realized as a wrong quotation that electricity and magnetism are two different irrelevant topics. But in 19th century, due to the Oersted experiment and Ampere's law, Oersted and Ampere's, these two scientists discovered that current passing through a wire establishes magnetic field around it. We know it very well in moving charges and magnetism chapter. Current passing through a wire produces magnetic field around it. So these are the statements and experiments conducted by Oersted and Ampere's. They proved that these two are related phenomena. Current and magnetism. Current and magnetism are not irrelevant topics, they are related to each other, one generates another. Current passing through a wire produces magnetic field around it. Okay, that is okay. That was the first identification. Next one, the reverse, the converse. What is about the converse statement? That is, the change in magnetic flux produces current. They already explained, yes is the answer for it. Scientist who invented this one, this answer is Henry and Faraday. Faraday of United Kingdom, that is England, Henry of United States of America. These two scientists established some experiments, conducted some experiments, and finally concluded that change in magnetic flux produces current. change in magnetic flux produces current. This is a milestone in our human beings history. This is a revolution. Because of this reason, because of this result, we are generating current. We are generating current, that is, we are using current. We can't imagine the world without current nowadays. This digital board is operated by the current. We are using cell phones. You are listening my class through cell phone. Cell phone is recharged by the current. We are using lights. We are using home appliances such as ACs, refrigerators, washing machines, mixies. So everything is operated by the current. So we need current to continue our life. That current is generated by this phenomena. Change in magnetic flux through a coil produces current. So that generated current is utilized in different ways, in different home appliances, and nowadays we feel comfortable. We can't continue our life without current. That is the present situation for us. We can't imagine the world without current. That current is generated by this phenomena. Change in magnetic flux produces electric current. So the origin of this answer of this question is this. Origin of this answer is done by the experiments conducted by the Faraday of United Kingdom and Henry of United States of America conducted the experiments and proved and stated that the change in magnetic flux produces electric current. And this is the introduction of this chapter. Throughout this chapter, we discuss phenomena, experiments, results belongs to how the current is producing, what is the magnitude of current and what is the direction of current produced due to change in magnetic flux. So those phenomena will be discussed in this electromagnetic induction. So this is the introduction to know about what is the theme of this chapter. So let us continue. What are the topics that we have to discuss in this chapter? So the first one, this is the first topic. First we discuss about magnetic flux. Magnetic flux. Already we have an idea about magnetic flux, but because it was discussed already in moving charges and magnetism and magnetism and matter chapter in previous videos, we know it very well. So we continue the discussion. We recollect the information belongs to magnetic flux, that is number of magnetic lines or forces passing through given area. Faraday's experiments. So this is the very important experiment, a milestone experiment which gives the answer for the change in magnetic flux through given area produces the current. So that result obtained from this experiment, there are 3 experiments conducted by Faraday and Henry, and Faraday's experiment, 3 experiments will be discussed. Similarly, Faraday's law, from this result of this experiments leads to Faraday's laws. There are 2 Faraday's laws. So we talk about the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, which are obtained from the result of experiments, Faraday's experiments. Next, Lenz's law. Lenz's law explains the direction of induced current. Faraday's experiment explains that when magnetic flux linked with the coil changes, current is induced in the coil. That result produced by the Faraday's experiment. The direction of the current explained by the Lenz's law. And Lenz's law also explains the reason behind the production of current, induction of current by the change in magnetic flux according to law of conservation of energy, Lenz's law and law of conservation of energy explanation in the process of induction of current by the change in magnetic flux. Next, by combining this Faraday's law and Lenz's law, we get one expression for induced EMF based on the both the laws. Induced EMF. Due to change in magnetic flux, electric current, electric EMF is induced. That magnitude of induced EMF, amount of induced EMF is determined by using an expression. Next one, the methods of producing induced EMF. So, in the Faraday's law, in the expression of induced EMF, it depends upon so many factors like magnetic induction, area of the coil and orientation of coil. So, we discuss what are the methods to produce the induced EMF. That means by changing which parameters we produce the EMF, how the EMF is generated by that one. and followed by, let us continue the topics. And eddy currents. When a magnetic flux passing through a metal plate changes, suppose we have a metal plate and bar magnet is moving close to the metal plate, magnetic flux linked with the metal plate changes, then currents may be induced. Those currents will be discussed in the content eddies current. And next, self-induction and self-inductance, mutual induction and mutual inductance. Due to current passing through a coil, if EMF is induced in the same current, that is self-induction. Due to current passing through the one coil, if there is any induced EMF in the neighboring coil, that phenomena is mutual induction. So these are the two topics, that is self-induction and mutual induction, and applications of the formula and additional information belongs to this one. Okay, these are the contents that we have to discuss in this video and following videos of electromagnetic induction. These are the 10 topics, subtopics that we have to discuss in this electromagnetic induction chapter. In this present video especially, we would like to discuss these 5 topics. Especially out of those 10 phenomena, I would like to describe these 5 contents especially in this video. First one, explanation of magnetic flux and Faraday's experiments. There are 3 experiments conducted by Faraday. We clearly describe those Faraday's experiments. From that results, there are Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction and direction of induced EMF and current given by Lenz's law, and reason behind it is law of conservation of energy, and expression for induced EMF based on the third and fourth contents. So these 5 contents should be discussed, especially in this video. So let us move on to the first content, that is about the magnetic flux. So here students, I explained the introduction. We are now in the electromagnetic induction chapter. Especially due to change in magnetic flux, EMF is induced in the coil. This is the theme of this chapter. In all videos, every day, throughout this chapter, in every content, we must have this idea. That is, change in magnetic flux through any coil induces EMF as well as induces current. This is the theme. Every day, every movement, in the discussion of every experiment, every law, we must have this idea. Change in magnetic flux produces current. Okay. That's why magnetic flux is the most important phenomenon. Magnetic flux is the most important parameter, especially in this chapter, because change in magnetic flux induces current. That's why you must have a clear idea regarding magnetic flux. That's why I would like to describe very clearly about the definition and units and the dimensional formula, everything regarding magnetic flux. So let me describe the magnetic flux. This is our very important topic. Once you understood about the magnetic flux very clearly, then similarly we extend that one to the change in magnetic flux, then we find induced EMF according to Faraday's law. So origin for all this chapter is what is meant by magnetic flux. Idea of magnetic flux is very important. So let me to know. First one is the definition. Magnetic flux through any surface is the number of magnetic field lines. So already we have this idea in previous 2 chapters. Number of magnetic lines of forces, total number of magnetic lines of forces passing normally, this is also important, passing normally through the surface area. So total number of magnetic lines of forces passing normally through the given area, total area, is known as the magnetic flux. So it can also be defined as, so according to the formula we get it. It is also known as the product of, that is the dot product of area of surface and the component of magnetic field normal to the surface. We have to multiply 2 parameters. One is the area of surface area and component of magnetic field normal to surface area. Product of the area. So I am highlighting the 2 physical quantities. One is area of the surface and another one is the component of magnetic field. Component, this is the component of magnetic field, especially normal to the surface. We have to take component of magnetic field vector normal to the surface and multiply that one with area. Product of these two is also numerically equal to magnetic flux. This is a theoretical definition. This is an equation definition. Equation form. To get an equation for magnetic flux, we use the second definition. To understand the phenomena of magnetic flux, we use the first definition. So first definition is total number of magnetic field lines of forces passing through given area normal to it is magnetic flux. It is calculated by the product of area and the component of magnetic field normal to the surface. Okay, let us move on to the discussion of the equation form. So let us consider a diagram. Let this be the surface area. Students, look into the diagram. Let this be the surface area having area ds. Area of this element is ds. We assume a small area, that's why we represented with ds. Let ds be the area of the element which is shown in this image. And this is the normal vector. Students, this is normal vector. We are representing the normal vector by n cap. N cap is a unit vector perpendicular to surface. This is the unit vector perpendicular to surface or unit vector along normal to the surface, n cap. ds is the surface area in magnitude, n cap is the unit vector normal to the surface, and then b bar, let in this region there is a magnetic field b bar that makes a theta angle. Here I am rewriting the letters in the diagram to have a clear vision. Let b bar be the magnetic field along this direction. Let it be along positive x-axis. Let the magnetic field b bar is along positive x-axis. But area vector is along n cap vector. This is the direction of area vector. Area vector is always normal to the surface. Okay. In this situation, the magnetic flux, according to this definition, magnetic flux is the dot product of area vector and magnetic field vector. So magnetic flux simply calculated by the dot product formula. D pi magnetic flux is the dot product of magnetic field vector and area vector, b bar dot ds bar. So that is b bar dot ds bar, which is also expanded as b ds cos theta. Angle between b bar and this is the direction of ds bar vector. So area vector is along normal to the surface, ds bar vector. Angle between b bar and ds bar is theta. So d pi is given by this formula, which is also equal to, it is also equal to component of b along this direction is b cos theta, component of magnetic field along this direction is b cos theta, then b cos theta into ds. Product of these two according to this definition, product of area vector and the component of magnetic field along normal to the surface is equal to magnetic flux. So d pi is equal to ds into b cos theta or b ds cos theta. So let us understand these two formulas. Magnetic flux is equal to b ds cos theta, where b is the magnetic field, ds is the area of the loop, and angle between the magnetic field vector and normal to the surface vector. Normal vector to the surface is n cap, angle between this area vector and magnetic field vector is theta, then magnetic flux is b ds cos theta, or in dot product b bar dot ds bar. Remember these two, b bar dot ds bar or b ds cos theta. When you take integration on both sides, we get total magnetic flux is equal to b bar dot a bar, that is b bar dot a bar dot n cap. N cap is the unit vector. So we write b bar into a into n cap like this. B bar into area vector is magnitude of area into unit vector. So b bar dot a into n cap, and that is also equal to ba cos theta. So this is for small area and this is for large area. Anyhow, this is the ultimate expression for flux. Pi is equal to ba cos theta. Pi is equal to BA cos theta. B is magnetic field and A is the area. Angle between magnetic field vector and area vector. Area vector means normal to the surface. Is theta, then pi is equal to BA cos theta. So this is about the magnetic flux. Direction of ds bar is along normal to the surface. Already explained it. Direction of ds bar is normal to the surface and is n cap is unit vector normal to the surface. Along ds bar is along n cap, that is along normal direction. You remember two formulas. One is pi is equal to b bar dot a bar in dot product form, in expanded form, in magnitude form, BA cos theta. Okay. So let us continue the discussion of magnetic flux. So we know the diagram already. B bar is like this, theta is the angle between them, n cap is the unit vector normal to the surface. Then this is the important formula, keep it in mind. Pi is equal to BA cos theta. Magnetic flux formula is this, the very important formula. We use it repeatedly in coming derivations because change in magnetic flux causes induced current. Therefore, every time we must use the pi formula. So the basic formula for magnetic flux is BA cos theta, where B is the magnetic field like this and area vector is along normal direction. Angle between the two vectors is theta, then flux is BA cos theta. So this flux is positive when cos theta is positive. This pi is positive. Flux may be either positive or negative. Flux is positive and cos theta is positive. Cos theta is positive in first quadrant and fourth quadrant. We know it very well. Therefore, as angle between B bar and area vector lies between 0 and 90 as well as lies between 270 and 360. We know that cos function is positive. This is in first quadrant and this is fourth quadrant. In first quadrant, the theta is between 0 and 90, and in the fourth quadrant, theta lies between 270 and 360. So for this, theta is positive. Okay. Here zero flux. Even though there are magnetic field and area, the flux may be zero. Remember, sometimes you have this type of questions also. By having non-zero values of magnetic field, by having non-zero value of area vector, the magnetic flux may be zero. When it is possible, magnetic flux is zero, when cos theta is zero. Cos theta is zero means theta is 90 and theta is 270. For example, we have, this is the area vector. This is the direction of area vector. Area vector, let us consider a surface area in xy plane, in xz plane, suppose to say. XZ plane. Let us consider an area in XZ plane. Then along y axis we have area vector. Area vector is normal to the surface. Along z axis, along y axis we have area vector in this direction. Suppose there is a magnetic field lies in XZ plane like this. This is B bar vector. Magnetic field is parallel to the surface area. XZ plane, there are uniform magnetic field established as shown in the diagram, established in XZ plane parallel to the surface area. Then the angle between B bar and A bar is now 90 degrees. Theta is equal to 90 degrees. Here B is non-zero, area vector is non-zero, but the angle between magnetic field and area vector is 90 degrees. Then flux is equal to pi is equal to BA cos 90, which is 0. Theta is 90 or 270 degrees, cos 90 is 0, this is 0. Sometimes we have this 0 flux also by having B and A as non-zero values. Keep it in mind. As shown in this diagram, magnetic field is parallel to the surface area as shown in the diagram. The angle between area vector and magnetic field is 90, so that the magnetic flux is 0. And next one is about negative flux. Negative flux means in second and third quadrant for theta angle, cos theta is negative, so magnetic flux is also negative. So that is possible when theta lies between 90 and 270. From 90 to 270, angle lies between 90 to 270, that is second and third quadrant. In that quadrant, cos theta is negative, we know it very well, hence magnetic flux is also negative. Then comes to maximum magnetic flux. Maximum magnetic flux is possible through given surface area when theta is 0 degrees and pi is equal to Ba. When theta is 0, pi is equal to Ba, there is maximum magnetic flux. Suppose you have the area vector in xy plane. In xy plane, let us consider an element having area, surface area of the element is an xy plane as shown in the diagram. Surface area of the element is an xy plane. Okay. Then if magnetic field is parallel to x-axis like this, then B bar and area vector is normal. Area vector is also along x-axis. Now if it is in yz plane, if area vector is in yz plane, let us assume area vector in yz plane. Clearly try to understand the situation what I am explaining. Let us consider area vector in yz plane. Then area vector, surface area is in yz plane. Assume surface area in yz plane. Then area vector is along x-axis. B bar is also along x-axis. Then theta is 0 degrees. Then flux is maximum. The maximum flux is pi is equal to Ba. So this is the expression Ba cos theta for magnetic flux. From that we decided about the positive flux, zero flux, negative flux and maximum flux. So let us move on to the discussion of units in SI and CGS system. So main expression, very important useful expression for magnetic flux in numerical form is Ba cos theta. This is the main equation for us. And here magnetic flux across a coil can be changed by changing. What are the methods of changing magnetic flux? That what I am introducing in this topic. As pi is equal to Ba cos theta, magnetic flux may be changes by changing B value. By changing B value. Magnetic field. Suppose by using a solenoid, magnetic field along axis of the solenoid is mu naught Ni. If current changes, B also changes. It is very easy to change the magnetic field by changing current in a solenoid. That is one example. For example, I am giving that idea for you. So anyhow, in any way, if we change magnetic field, then magnetic flux also get changes. Second one, area of cross section of the coil. So if you increase the area or reduce the area by continuously changing the area changes, pi also changes. Pi is directly proportional to area. And angle between B and A. If angle between B and A changes, then also the orientation. Suppose you have a coil like this, and this is area vector, this is magnetic field vector. Now if you changes that area to this form, this is area vector and this is magnetic field vector. In first example, let theta, angle between them be 30 degrees. In second example, theta becomes 0 degrees. Then magnetic flux, when you gradually rotate the surface area from first position to second position, angle goes on decreasing. Cos theta goes on increasing. As theta goes on decreasing, cos theta goes on increasing, and pi also gradually increasing. So by orienting, by changing the angle between area vector and magnetic field vector from position 1 to position 2, this is one example. For example, I am giving this comparison for you. When area vector angle between B bar and area vector is changing, so the area of cross section of the coil, and third one, orientation of coil with magnetic field. That's what I explained so far. By changing orientation of the coil with magnetic field, then also theta changes, cos theta changes, and magnetic flux also get changes. These are the three most important points, students. How? Because change in magnetic flux may produce induced EMF, induced current. That is the theme of this chapter. So in what way we change the magnetic flux? Means there are three methods. By changing strength of magnetic field. Students, in this animation, you are observing magnet is coming close to the coil, and then moving away from the coil. You are observing two things continuously. Behind me on the screen there is an image, there is an animation in which the magnet is oscillating. It is moving back away and also moving closer to the coil. When it is moving closer to the coil, B increases. When it is moving away from the coil, B decreases. So, if it is stationary, B is constant. When it is approaching, B increases. When it is moving away, B decreases. So that in that way, strength of magnetic field is changing. That also changes flux. In three different ways, we change the magnetic flux so that we can change the flux. That causes, that change in flux may leads to induced current. Okay. So any of the combinations of the above. So we may change any one method, or we may opt all three methods. So either one or two, or by using all methods, or at least one method that changes magnetic flux, that may leads to induced current. Okay. So as far as the magnetic flux is concerned, it is a scalar quantity because it is a dot product of magnetic field vector and area vector. Dot product is always a scalar quantity. So magnetic flux is clearly scalar quantity, whereas magnetic field is a vector, area vector is a vector, whereas magnetic flux clearly a scalar quantity. And SI unit of magnetic flux is Weber. Weber or Tesla meter square. Weber is one method, or Tesla meter square is other unit, SI unit of magnetic flux, and CGS unit is Maxwell. The relation between SI and CGS unit is, one Maxwell is, sometimes we need this conversion, students, while solving the problems, we need conversion of one system of units to another system. One Maxwell is equal to 10 power minus 8 Weber. Oh, this is the way. So magnetic flux associated normal per unit area is called magnetic flux density. We know it very well. Magnetic flux, already we defined it, that magnetic flux through unit area, per unit area, magnetic flux per unit area is named as the magnetic flux density, also equal to magnetic field induction B. Okay, that is the known thing. So this is a clear explanation about magnetic flux. So let us move on to the experiments. This is the important thing for this chapter, experiment, Faraday's experiment, which may explain how the EMF is induced by change in magnetic flux. So this is the Faraday's experiment 1. So throughout my explanation, there is one image we are observing behind my screen. So that image clearly explains Faraday's first experiment. I explained that there are three experiments of Faraday. The result of three experiments concludes there is a induced current or EMF due to change in magnetic flux. Okay. So this is the first experiment in which we have a fixed coil. On the left side of the screen we have a fixed coil, and on the screen, students, you are observing a magnet is moving, approaching the coil and moving away from the coil. So suppose let us consider, when magnet is moving through the coil, what happens? Magnetic lines of forces passing through the coil increases. Once again, students, observe it. When the magnet is approaching, see my hand, number of magnetic lines of forces passing through the coil increases. When it is far away, there is only one line, one blue line is passing. When it is approaching, blue lines, yellow lines all together are passing. So when the magnet is approaching the coil, number of magnetic field lines passing through the coil increases. That means magnetic flux goes on increasing. When magnet is approaching the coil, magnetic flux passing through the coil is increasing. Then what we observe? This coil is connected to galvanometer. Let this coil be connected to galvanometer. When this is approaching the coil, magnetic flux passing through the coil increases. Coil doesn't accept the immediate growth of magnetic flux through it. Coil naturally by itself has the property and it doesn't accept the sudden growth of magnetic flux through it. So it should oppose the growth of magnetic flux. As the magnet is approaching, let us consider one direction. As magnet is approaching the coil, the magnetic field lines passing through the coil increases, that is magnetic flux through the coil increases. Okay, but this coil doesn't accept the sudden growth of magnetic flux through it. Then it opposes the growth of magnetic flux. How it is possible? So when magnet is approaching the coil, as magnetic flux through the coil increases, and it should rotate the animation. Current is circulated in the coil in this direction. Once again, when coil is approaching, let us observe it. The current is passing through the coil in this increases, and the phase of the coil, when this increases, during the approach, I am showing during the approach of magnet. Let us keep it in mind, this arrow mark. When magnet is approaching the coil, current is circulated in the coil in this direction, and as long as it is approaching, the face of the coil becomes north pole. Face of the coil, as current is circulated, it is a coil made up of a metal, it has free electrons. The free electrons of the coil starts moving in a coil in this direction, and face of the coil becomes, when current is circulating in a coil, it becomes a magnetic dipole, you know it very well. Now the coil becomes a magnetic dipole, the face of the coil now becomes a north pole, and it repels the north pole. So it opposes the growth of magnetic flux. Students, I hope you followed this explanation. Once again, I repeat. Let us assume the situation in which the magnet is approaching. Let us consider that one. Then flux through the coil increases, but the coil doesn't accept the growth of flux. As the coil is made up of metal, it has free electrons, and it starts moving the positive charges. I mean, whatever the direction of electrons, but the positive charges. Let us assume conventionally current starts moving in this direction, so that the coil behaves like a dipole, and face of the coil towards the magnet becomes north pole instantaneously, and it starts repelling the approach of magnet, and it tries to oppose the growth of change of flux to it. That is, growth of flux is clearly opposed by it. So this is the first experiment and result of that experiment. Similarly, when magnet is moving away, so now let us observe the student. When north pole of the magnet is moving away, then what happens? Flux goes on decreasing. This must also opposed by the coil. When magnet is moving away from the coil, the flux through the coil goes on decreasing. Let us once again observe what I explained here. Now magnet is here, now it is goes moving away, then lines are reducing, number of lines are reducing, magnetic flux goes on decreasing. But this decreasing magnetic flux also must opposed by the coil. For that, you should rotate the positive charges. Conventional charge movement move in this direction. Conventionally, positive charges move in this direction. So that this face is north pole and face towards the magnet is south pole. So once again observe the situation. When this magnet starts moving away, the face is south pole, and try to attract it. So anyhow, as long as the magnet is either approaching the coil or moving away from the coil, when you do two things, when you approach the magnet towards the coil or when you move the magnet away from the coil, in these two situations, there is change in magnetic flux. In one way, growth of magnetic flux, second way, decrease of magnetic flux. Both must be, whatever may be the change of magnetic flux must be opposed by the coil. Then automatically the charges in the coil moving inside the coil becomes a dipole instantaneously by itself. By itself, coil starts moving their charges along the proper direction, so as to oppose the change in magnetic flux. So here what we observe, there is induced current, there is induced EMF. EMF is induced in the coil by itself when we externally change the magnetic flux through the coil. This is the result from Faraday's first experiment. I explained that experiment with the help of one animation. Let us discuss the same experiment with one more animation to have more clarity of the same experiment. So I am showing one more animation image. So let this be the coil connected to the galvanometer. We have a bar magnet and we kept north pole of the magnet towards the face of the first coil. Obviously behind the coil there is behind the magnet there is another coil. Of course, south pole of the magnet is towards the second coil. Simultaneously, in front of the magnet and behind the magnet we arrange two coils which are connected to the galvanometer. In these two diagrams we are observing the galvanometer. So when I move the magnet towards the first coil, left side coil is the first coil. So let us observe the animation. You look into the animation, yes, magnet is approached. So once again you observe the animation, students. I would like to move the magnets towards the first coil. Then what happens? Flux through the first coil goes on increasing. Okay. As I explained in previous case, when the magnet is approaching, flux through the coil goes on increasing. The increase in flux must be opposed by the coil itself. For that, the conventionally positive charges try to rotate in this direction. So face of the coil becomes north pole. See, face of the coil becomes north pole towards the magnet. As magnet is approaching, north pole of magnet is approaching, face of the coil becomes north pole. And here, when magnet is moving away, the flux through the second coil goes on decreasing. So see, when magnet is stationary, there are no north and south poles in any coil. When magnet is approaching the first coil, flux through the first coil increases and flux through this second coil decreases. Followed? Flux through this coil is increasing and flux through this coil is decreasing. So in order to oppose the growth of flux, the phase should become north pole. In order to oppose the decrease in flux, the phase must becomes the north pole. So see, this is the phenomenon. So current passes like this, and here current must travels in this direction, so that this becomes north pole, and it attracts the south pole of magnet, and it opposes the decrease in flux through it, and this opposes the increase in flux through it. Now I changes the polarities of the magnet. So here we have north pole. Now I kept south pole through it, and when south pole is approaching, the face of the coil should become south pole. So see the second, the south pole approaching, this face of the coil should become south pole. Current direction is opposite to the previous one. So direction of current changes like this. So in this way, growth of flux or decrease of flux through a coil must oppose by the coil, so that it induces it itself moves the charges inside the coil. The coil instantaneously becomes a dipole. In order to oppose any change of magnetic flux through it, growth of flux is opposed by it, fall of flux is also opposed by it. As long as the flux is constant, there is no induced current, induced EMF. This is the result from the experiment 1. Now I would like to show experiment 2. We have a coil like a solenoid connected to a battery. So positive charges are traveling like this. Here positive charges are traveling, passing through the coil, as the coil is connected to the battery as shown in the diagram. This is the explanation regarding the Faraday's second experiment. So positive charges are circulating like this, charges are circulating like this. So in every turn of the coil, charge is passing like this. In every turn, charge is passing like positive charges conventionally. You observe it. So this is the north face. Now the coil, we replaces the bar magnet simply by a solenoid. Nothing change in it. We replace the bar magnet. Bar magnet can produce magnetic field, permanent magnet. We replace the bar magnet in experiment 1 by solenoid in experiment 2. Solenoid is equivalent to bar magnet. We know it very well in magnetism and matter chapter. So clearly I am showing the directions. As by virtue of the battery, we are moving the charges inside the coil along this direction. This is becomes north pole and this becomes south pole, and this is equivalent to bar magnet. Just we replaces the bar magnet of experiment 1 by the solenoid in experiment 2. Suppose as shown in the arrow mark, when we move the solenoid towards the coil which is connected to galvanometer, then what happens? The growth of flux must oppose by the coil itself. Growth of flux must oppose. So growth of flux must oppose the coil means the coil should become a dipole instantaneously by moving charges. So charges moves like this in the coil, so that face of the coil becomes north pole, as north pole equivalent to a solenoid. For a solenoid is equivalent to bar magnet, and let this be the north pole as current is circulating. When we move the current carrying coil, this is a current carrying coil. If we move the current carrying coil towards a closed loop connected to galvanometer, the flux through the coil increases. The growth of flux must oppose by the coil, so that it rotates the positive charges convention in this direction. The face of the coil becomes north pole and it opposes the growth of flux, so that the current is passing through it like this. So same as the result of experiment 1, but only thing is we use a current carrying coil. We produce magnetic field lines either by using bar magnet or by using a solenoid. Here one thing we observe from experiment 1 and experiment 2. When there is a relative motion between the bar magnet and the coil connected to galvanometer, or when there is a relative motion between a current carrying coil and the coil connected to galvanometer. When there are relative motion either between magnet and the coil or between current carrying coil, solenoid and the coil, because of the relative motion, magnetic flux is changing. Either we approach the coil or we move away from the coil due to relative motion between the coil on left hand side as well as the coil on left hand side, and either bar magnet or solenoid. Due to relative motion between this current carrying coil and the coil connected to the galvanometer, flux through the coil goes on changing. Flux through the coil, this flux through the magnetic flux through the coil is changing. As long as flux is changing, the current charges starts moving in the coil in a proper direction to oppose the change in flux. To oppose the change in flux, they move in a proper way. So when there is a change in magnetic flux due to relative motion, the change in magnetic flux is opposed by the coil. For that currents are induced, EMF is induced, and current starts moving itself by itself in the coil, and galvanometer shows a deflection. We see the deflection of galvanometer. This is the result from Faraday's experiment 1 and experiment 2. Let us come to the experiment 3. Here we have a coil connected to a battery, and here according to the sign convention, battery connection given to the coil, positive charge is given like this. This is the direction of flow of current. When positive charges are moving like this, this becomes the north pole. This is a solenoid equivalent to bar magnet. As we are using the currents like this, and this is north pole and this is south pole of solenoid, it is equivalent to bar magnet. We can assume a bar magnet in place of this one also. And initially there is no current passing through the coil, and it is not equivalent to bar magnet. When current starts flowing, it may becomes bar magnet. Now key is open. See the diagram, key is open. Beside of this one, very nearer to it, we put another coil connected to galvanometer. Okay, this is known as the primary coil and this is secondary coil. We have two coils. In primary coil is connected to the battery in series with key, and secondary coil just connected to the galvanometer. Now let us try to switch on the coil. I remove the arrow marks in it. So I remove arrow marks. Once again we have to look into the arrow marks when process is going on. Key is open now. When key is open, no more current is passing through the coil. Just close the key. Look into the animation, students. Close the key. Okay. Like this. As I explained, current travels in this direction. When you close the key, this is the direction. So in this case, you must be very clear. When you just close the key, then there is some current passing through the secondary coil, and it continues the connection, then no more current is appearing on the second one. So see this one. and it disappears. Okay. When just we close the key, current starts moving in this direction and it becomes the south pole. Second phase should also becomes the south pole. For that, the current starts circulating, induced current. This is induced current, this is applied current, this is induced current. Induced current is existing when current increases from 0 to maximum. When current is increases, just when we are closing the key, current is increases to 0 to maximum. During that small period of time, the growth of flux is there, that must be opposed by the coil. At that instant, it starts moving the current to make this phase a south pole, like this, and it disappears, like this. I think you observed it clearly. I explained it 3 times and 4 times to have a clear idea for it, like this. So, at the instant of time, during the period of time, students, let me observe my explanation more clearly. During the period of time for which there is a growth of current in the primary coil, during the period of time for which there is a growth of current in the primary coil, flux goes on increasing in the secondary coil, flux linked with secondary coil goes on increasing during that period only, while we are shifting the key, from vertical to horizontal, means there is a connection of key closing the circuit. During that period, current is increases from 0 to maximum. During that very small infinite single time, during that very small interval of time, flux goes on increasing. That growth of flux is opposed by the secondary coil, so that during that period current starts flowing, later it disappears. If there is a constant flux passing through it, though there is a flux, so flux present in the secondary coil doesn't produces any current. This is the important point, students. Flux present in the secondary coil does not produces any current. Change of flux linked with the secondary coil may induces current. I think you followed the difference. So during the switch on the key, circuit is closing, the flux goes on increasing. During that period only, the growth of flux must be opposed by the secondary coil. During that period, the current starts flowing. Once the steady current is maintaining, now steady current is continuously passing, same amount of, this is the DC battery, same current is passing, steady current is passing, a constant flux is linked with the secondary coil. During constant flux, there is no change in the flux to the secondary coil. When there is no change in the flux to the secondary coil, no more currents are induced in the secondary coil. So flux linked with the secondary coil is not the criteria. When there is a change, whenever there is a change in magnetic flux to the secondary coil, at that moment, to oppose the change in flux, there is a current induced in the secondary coil. As long as you are maintaining a change in flux, then only during that period only the current is induced in the secondary coil, EMF induced in the secondary coil. That is the result from the Faraday's experiment 3. Similarly, during the steady current, there is no induced current in it. When you switch off the key, we remove the connection, we open the circuit now, let us observe the diagram. Then, when open the circuit, flux goes on decreasing. Already there is a constant flux. Okay, already there is a constant flux. When you switch off it, the flux passing through the coil goes on decreasing. The decreasing flux must be opposed by the secondary coil, so phase becomes north pole. So current travels in this direction. When current travels in this direction, phase becomes north pole. So when you open the key, flux goes on decreasing, the phase becomes north pole to oppose the decrease in flux. Thereafter it disappears because there is no more flux. So a constant flux or zero flux. Either a constant flux or zero flux. This is the condition of constant flux. So no more current. This is the condition of zero flux. So there is no more current inducing. Whenever switch is on or switch is off, during the instance of time of onning the switch, off the switch, during the instant of time, during particular period for which there is on and off of the switches, growth of flux or decrease of flux. During the growth and decrease of flux time, only current is induced in the secondary coil. Keep it in mind. Okay, this is the result from Faraday's experiments 3. Now I would like to give essence of these three experiments, result of three experiments, and then how it leads to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. See here, when the what explained, I recall it. When the primary circuit is closed, this is the primary circuit. Current goes from 0 to maximum value. Then during this period, changing current induces changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. So during this period, I repeatedly explained this sentence for you. During this period, changing current induces changing magnetic flux across the primary coil. The changing magnetic flux linked with across the secondary coil and induces EMF. So when the primary circuit is closed, this is the sequence. During that period, magnetic flux linked with the secondary coil changes. During that period, change in magnetic flux linked across the secondary coil and induces EMF. Only during this period, we have EMF. For remaining constant current, there is no EMF induced. Similarly, when you switch off the coil, same thing will happen. Now comes to conclusions. When the primary circuit is open, the reverse, second one, current decreases from maximum value to 0. Faraday's third experiment, second result. When the primary circuit is open, current decreases from maximum value to 0. During this period, change in current induces change in magnetic flux across the primary coil. Because when circuit is opening and magnetic flux changing across primary coil, that changes magnetic flux across the secondary coil. The change in magnetic flux across secondary coil induces EMF in it. However, note that direction of current in the secondary coil is reversed when you changes the growth or decrease in flux. So conclusions, these are important, students. I would like to give conclusions of three experiments of Faraday. From that, we write an expression for Faraday's law that leads to so many applications of this chapter, electromagnetic induction. So conclusions of Faraday experiment. First one, when there is a relative motion between magnet and coil, see in this animation, see it is at B, now it is approaching. When it is approaching the coil, there is growth of magnetic flux. So when there is a relative motion between magnet and the coil, as shown in this animation, and when there is relative motion between current carrying coil and the coil, so see, this is the current carrying coil and this is the coil. When you move the current carrying coil close to the coil having galvanometer, so then there is a relative motion between current carrying coil and the coil, or on and off the switch of the current carrying coil. Here let us observe this animation, a small animation in which, look into this position, there is a off, on. Once again look into the small region, on and off, there is on and off. When you off, there is no magnetic flux. When you on, there is a magnetic flux. There is growth and fall of magnetic flux. Then simultaneously you are observing the rotation of galvanometer. Current is passing through the coil by itself. Induced EMF, induced current is there. So we are reflecting. So a clear changes are shown in these animations, either by relative motion between magnet and the coil, or relative motion between current carrying coil and the coil, or on and off the switch of current carrying coil. These three experiments were done. Three experiments were done in case of Faraday's experiment. The result is magnetic flux through the coil changes. Because of any one or all these three, either any one or all these three, what change that we observe here in this region, there is change in magnetic flux. The animation you are observing it clearly. Continuously we are observing the animation in this region. So because of these three effects, there is change in magnetic flux through the coil. So magnetic flux through the coil is changes. And the magnetic flux linked with the coil changes, induces current or induced EMF in the coil. That's what. This is the result, students. You keep it in mind, this is the important result, essence of the three experiments of Faraday. So once again I recollect, either due to relative motion between magnet and the coil, either due to relative motion between magnet and the coil, or due to relative motion between current carrying coil and the coil, or due to on and off of the switch of the current carrying coil nearer to the another coil. In all these cases of Okay, either due to relative motion between magnet and the coil, or due to relative motion between current carrying coil and the coil, or on and off of the switch, of current carrying nearer to the coil, as shown in the animation. All these three changes the magnetic flux through the coil. This is the coil connected to galvanometer. All these changes the magnetic flux through the coil. So magnetic flux through the coil changes. The magnetic flux linked with the coil changes and induces EMF and induces the current through it. This is the result. Okay, Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. So this experiment result leads to Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. We have two laws of Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Let us come to first law. Whenever there is a change in magnetic flux, this is the important thing. Whenever there is a change in magnetic flux linked with a circuit, an EMF and hence a current is induced in the circuit. However, it lasts only so long as the magnetic flux is changing. Students, I think you followed this statement. Whenever, suppose we have a coil, students, we have a coil. Whenever the magnetic flux, let this be magnetic flux. Whenever the change in magnetic flux linked with the coil, this is suppose by any way, any method, if you changes the magnetic flux through the coil, then EMF is induced in the coil, induces EMF and current passes through the coil. So there is an EMF and hence current is induced in the circuit. There is an EMF and hence current is induced in the circuit, and it continue that induction of EMF, production of EMF and production of current. Induced EMF, induced current continue in the coil as long as the magnetic flux is changing. The presence of magnetic flux doesn't induces EMF. Presence of magnetic flux doesn't induces EMF in the coil. Only change in magnetic flux. As long as magnetic flux is changing through the coil, EMF is continuously induced and current is induced in the coil. That is the important statement. This is first law. And second law about magnitude of EMF. The magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the circuit. The magnitude, this is the important law. Faraday's second law is the most important to find out magnitude of induced EMF. The magnitude of the induced EMF is directly proportional to the rate of change of magnetic flux linked with the coil. So there is a change in flux. We know that flux is represented by pi. Rate of change of flux means d pi by dt. Change in magnetic flux in unit time is known as the rate of change of flux. Let this E be the induced EMF. Induced magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of magnetic flux. The proportionality constant is K. This implies we use a proportionality constant. E is equal to K into d pi by dt, where K is a constant and units are chosen such that K is equal to 1. So we define units of E and d pi by dt such that K becomes 1. We define unit value for K so that E is equal to d pi by dt. So EMF induced, magnitude of EMF induced in a coil is always equal to rate of change of magnetic flux. This is the formula. Magnitude of induced EMF in the coil is equal to rate of change of magnetic flux through the coil. So d pi is also written by pi 2 minus pi 1 in numerator. So E of course equal to pi 2 minus pi 1 divided by t. So Lenz's law. Let us come to Lenz's law. Lenz's law also related to the induced EMF, but it gives the direction of induced EMF. So Lenz's law, whenever it is approaching, the galvanometer deflects in one direction. See, galvanometer deflects in this direction. When the magnet is moving away, it deflects in another direction. So current direction, induced EMF or induced current directions changes when you changes the magnetic flux like growth or fall. So the direction of induced EMF the direction, especially the direction is given by Lenz's law. Like on Lenz's law, the direction of induced EMF or induced current is such that it opposes the change that produces it. This is very important. The direction of induced EMF or induced current is such that it always opposes the change that producing it. So EMF is produced by a change in magnetic flux. So suppose when magnet is approaching, there is growth of magnetic flux. This growth of magnetic flux produces EMF. The direction of EMF and direction of induced current is such a way that opposes the growth of flux. If flux is increasing, that increasing flux produces EMF, but the direction of EMF is in such a way that it must opposes the growth of flux. So as north pole is approaching, the face of the coil should becomes the north pole. Face of the coil should becomes the north pole, so the current travels in this direction. Current travels in this direction. Like this. So like this. When the north pole of magnet is approaching, the face of the coil should becomes north pole, current travels in this direction. So students, observe the reason. When magnet is approaching, there is growth of flux. Thus the growth of flux produces EMF, but direction of EMF is in a such a way that opposes the produces EMF. So when magnet is approaching, there is growth of flux. The coil must opposes the growth of flux. For that, it travels like this. So it is opposing the reason, opposing the change growth of flux, so that the direction of induced EMF or current is such that it opposes the change that produced it. So next comes to, that is, the current is induced due to the motion of the magnet. Then induced current in the coil sets itself to stop the motion of the magnet. This is the simple thing. Magnet is approaching and increasing the flux. That is opposed by the coil. So the current is induced to stop the motion of magnet. If the current is induced due to change in current in the primary coil, then induced current is such that it tends to stop the changes in current. By on and off the switch, if you change the magnetic flux, that change must be opposed by the coil. So if the current is induced due to change in current in the primary coil, then induced current in the secondary coil is such that it tends to stop the change. Lenz's law and law of conservation of energy. So according to Lenz's law, the induced EMF, the induced EMF opposes the change that produced it. That's what we discussed so far. So the direction of induced EMF is always in a such a way that opposes the change that produced it. It is this opposition against we perform mechanical work. So see this animation. We are moving the magnet. Flux is increasing. EMF is induced in the coil to oppose the motion of magnet. But we are doing some mechanical work to move the magnet. Our intention of moving the magnet is opposed by the coil. By inducing EMF or by inducing current, it opposes the motion of magnet. That's why we are doing some mechanical work. Keep it in mind. We are doing some mechanical work to move the magnet. Simply, we can't move the magnet towards the coil. When we start moving the magnet towards the coil, flux increases in the coil, then induced EMF and induced current in such a way that to oppose the motion of magnet. So this face becomes north pole and it opposes the motion of north pole. So if this is the north pole and we are moving the magnet towards the coil by facing north pole towards the coil, face of the coil becomes north pole and face of the coil becomes north pole and it opposes the motion of the magnet. We must do some mechanical work. To move the magnet, we must do some mechanical work. The mechanical work done by us changes to electrical energy. So there is no creation of energy. Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed. Students, here we are observing there is induced EMF, induced current. Which energy transferred to the induced EMF? Which energy transferred to the induced current? The coil automatically, when we move the magnet towards the coil automatically by itself induces current and induced EMF. Which energy transfers to this electrical energy? EMF induced, current induced means there is electrical energy generated. Which energy transferred to this electrical energy? Mechanical energy transferred to electrical energy. Students, I repeat, mechanical energy transferred to electrical energy. When we start moving the magnet towards the coil induces current and opposes the motion of magnet. Against that, we are still moving the magnet by doing some work. Mechanically, by doing some work, we are moving the magnet towards the coil. This mechanical work done by us changes to electrical energy in the coil and it producing the coil. Okay, that is the phenomena. So, this is the explanation of law of conservation of energy. So, students, I hope you followed it. Students? So, we continue the remaining parts. Students, here in this session, I introduced a new lessons for you, that is electromagnetic induction. I explained the contents that we have to discuss throughout this chapter, and especially in this chapter I explained Faraday's 3 experiments in which if there is any change in magnetic flux linked with the coil, EMF is induced in the coil, and followed by Faraday's law. Equation of form of Faraday's law is E is equal to d pi by dt, and Lenz's law, which gives the direction of induced current that opposes the direction of induced current is always opposes the cause that produced it. In next class, we continue the discussion to write the different forms of the Faraday's law and different ways of producing EMF in a coil. So I hope you followed the explanation. Thank you for watching. Thank you, one and all.